Welcome back to Conversations with Therapists. Today I'm joined by Kate Smiley of Reimagine Therapy. Kate, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me here.
Of course. So, Kate, you've shared on your website that your own experiences with grief and eating disorders shaped your approach to therapy. How have these personal experiences influenced the way that you connect with and support your clients?
I have had quite the road, quite the journey. And as much as I would say there are some parts of my life that were very difficult and maybe even traumatic, what I encourage with my clients and also with myself, reinforcing that messaging, even for me, is that what can we get from those difficult life moments? I lost my husband when he was 50, and he left behind my two adult daughters and myself, and I knew this man for 28 years, my best friend. Difficult change of life. I would never want to wish that on anyone, but if you can build all the coping skills and the tools to get through really severe grief, I mean, what an amazing feat. And to be able to help those around you navigate that whole process. And grief comes in many different flavors. And with the eating disorder, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, the hotbed of eating disorders. My father was a VP of a major entertainment studio, so I was around a lot of Hollywood peeps. And of course, what's coming down the road is an eating disorder. And I had it for close to 30 years. And so I think what all my clients like about me is not only do I have the education, I'm very well studied, with the modalities that help treat eating disorders and what people go through and the physiological effects. But I have such a personal experience with it that my clients just love that. They know like I can validate that experience. With that said, I want to make it extremely clear. Just because I had anorexia and bulimia for a number of years does not mean I can say I understand to someone else who has suffered from anorexia and bulimia. I think that is an issue some therapists have fallen on the sword with. You can never say I understand because everyone's life experience is different. And I have not walked in the person across on the couch from me in their shoes. So, as much as I would love to say I understand, I can empathize. And I understand the battles, the demons that go along with an eating disorder, and that it's both a medical, psychological, physical, mental. All of those pieces are so tied up in an eating disorder. It is a tough thing to get through.
Wow, that was really powerful what you said about even though you have your own whole journey and experience with your own eating disorder, you're never
Yep.
going to say that you fully understand exactly
Nope.
what the person across from you is going through, but still you manage to have compassion and you are well versed in these modalities and
Yes.
you see the person and at the end of the day are just trying to help them get to a better place. I think that's really beautiful.
And I don't pretend I know more than my clients. They teach me things, I teach them things. And that's what makes it such a symbiotic experience.
In your experience, what are some of the most common challenges that people face today, like anxiety, depression, or relationship issues? And how have you seen these evolve over the years?
I think anxiety, I would say 99.9% of my clients have anxiety. And a lot of times that leads to depression because anxiety can be overwhelming and almost paralyzing. It can paralyze the nervous system because you're on overload. And I have a lot of clients who have very high expectations of themselves, those perfectionist standards, over controlled personality types, a lot of noise in their head. They ruminate, perseverate, worry about all those unknown variables, what we call future tripping. And, that seems to be kind of the state of a lot of people. And I think it's become really pronounced since COVID. I think COVID did a number on people and their mental health, depression, OCD, anxiety, eating disorders, suicidal ideation, all of the relational issues, they all kind of came to a head during COVID. That was kind of the litmus test for a lot of people, like where they are. The beautiful thing about that is we have strengthened our interventions and modalities to be able to address what has come up from COVID. Further, I am, and my clients know this, and I'm not shy saying this, I have some issues with social media, and I have a lot of clients, especially my eating disorder, I say ED clients, my eating disorder clients, who will scroll for hours through TikTok and Instagram. And as much as, great, they have that connection. Sometimes they feel like they're being heard, and there could be support groups or whatever. They don't always understand the toll it takes on their mental health and how it hits our unconscious, our subconscious on a very subliminal way, like commercials on television. You may not consciously be watching them, but they're coming through you. And studies have shown that there's been such an increase in mental health problems, including suicide, especially for younger clients, bullying, cyberbullying. And so as a therapist, I try to go, I'm not saying take away social media, because that's like unheard of and my clients would stomp out. But I go more on a harm reduction route and really explain, what social media is capable of. So we have to be very, very careful and really push the idea of balance.
As part of the younger generation, I know the extent to which social media can be really harmful.
Especially eating disorders. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of airbrushing and lighting and everything, but my, clients want to reach that level of what they think is perfection, although no one's perfect, and it's not attainable. And that's setting them up for, those negative core beliefs they hold.
I mean, I feel like we could open a whole
that's a whole discussion. That's a whole podcast.
Also with, I feel like the rise of Ozempic and just the seeming
don't even get me started.
Celebrities being smaller and smaller and skinnier. It's damaging to see. And I can't even imagine for someone deep in the trenches of an eating disorder or even beginning recovery, how damaging that must be to see it everywhere and to see it praised. Nobody is praising people in bigger bodies on social media. People are only praising people as they wither away, so to speak, and get smaller and smaller.
The messaging to people is that they were not good enough when they were in bigger bodies. Even if they were healthy, Health at Every Size, that's a great book, by the way. Even if they're healthy, our society wants to praise the ones that fit that conventional standard of beauty, especially where I live, Southern California. Mm-hmm. It, again, hotbed of high beauty standards that are totally unachievable. And Ozempic, that's a really good point. As diet companies, if people know, they make the most money out of any other type of industry. Mm-hmm. It's changing the way you look, your appearance. That is what your self-worth is based on, how you appear. And I have a real problem with that. And I also have a real problem because I don't know what the long-term health risks are for my clients. Any clients that do Ozempic, where are the long-term studies?
Yeah.
What is it going to do 20 years from now? So that's what I worry about too.
Shifting gears a little bit, you offer both in-person therapy in San Diego and online sessions across California. Mm-hmm. How does the virtual format change or enhance the therapeutic experience for clients?
I'm very mixed. I'm very mixed with virtual. As you can see, I have energy and I'm a little demonstrative, and my clients love being in the same room with me because I have this way of making them feel heard and seen. What I talk about a lot is me as a therapist can serve as the first secure attachment figure for a lot of people that have not had secure attachment. And with that being said, I may have a very calming nervous system, which can extend to my client on the couch across from me. And that's what we call co-regulation, where they can feed off of my calming nervous system. And so you can see like how in-room experience can be really, really powerful.
Mhm.
I don't want to minimize the efficacy of remote or virtual. I think it is a powerful tool. First started doing EMDR, it was doing it during COVID. So I had to learn how to do EMDR online. That was crazy. Like, I was trained in an in-person setting and then to have to translate that online and then worry about the efficacy. Well, I found pretty strong results coming from, remote EMDR therapy, which I never thought would happen. I think what's so great about remote, as much as I would prefer in person, and I will say that wholeheartedly, remote can access populations that may not have access to good therapists or medical team. And that's what I find so beneficial. People that could be more in rural areas that don't have a team down the street that they can go to. And think about me working with people with eating disorders. And I want to make that clear. That is not all I do. I
Yeah.
do have a segment of eating disorders, but I treat all adults. Okay. But with eating disorders, we have to have a whole team together to be able to provide the right kind of therapy. I expect them to have a registered dietitian and a medical doctor and psychiatrist on board. So they get everything they need to go through a very taxing physical, mental, and emotional disease. So think about someone who can't always get to a doctor visit. They have remote, or a registered dietitian, I say RD, an RD visit, they have remote.
Mhm.
So I think virtual, if it can extend to people that, or maybe people that are scared to leave their house. They have agoraphobia or social anxiety. They had maybe major trauma and they're terrified of leaving the house. What a great thing that they can have that. So, it's very mixed with me. I'd much rather you be in my office, but I am more than happy to provide that platform for you.
In your work, you focus on helping clients identify goals, enhance skills, and address areas of self growth. Can you share an example of a strategy or tool that you often use to help clients make meaningful progress?
Well, I definitely believe in EMDR, the merits of EMDR for all different types of little tiny traumas, big traumas, or just fears. People may have a fear of testing or a fear of driving a car. So it doesn't have to be this complex trauma. But what EMDR does in a nutshell, and it does cut the amount of time, therapy time. It really does an 84% success rate, maybe even more. I don't know. It helps to make real movement, and clients can see that movement. They feel like they're actually being productive. They're doing something. I have a lot of clients that feel like they need to take action. They want to feel they're being proactive, not just, and there's nothing wrong with talk therapy. I love talk therapy, but for those clients that really feel like I want to target this fast, I want to hit that, and relieve myself of this pain and really help to change the way my brain views certain situations. Or can I start rewiring that anxious brain and start padding healthier neural pathways with the function of bilateral stimulation? So I know there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about EMDR. I know there's a lot of people that do, but it has been around forever. I feel like it has. And Francine Shapiro created it, brilliant woman. It has helped so many people who have suffered vicarious trauma. It could be people that saw 9/11 happen. They weren't there, but they saw it and they have that vicarious trauma. All types of things. You can take it anywhere. And what the beauty of it is when people leave the office after EMDR, their brain is still working it. Their brain is hardwired to survive and process all those traumatic images. So their brain is still doing the work in between sessions. And then the second piece is my all-time favorite. If you suffer from anxiety, ice is my best friend.
Ice?
I tell all my clients, ice, 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 ice. Ice will bring your cortisol levels down very quickly. And what I have at my office in a refrigerator, actually in the freezer of the refrigerator, I have oranges in a Ziploc bag and I freeze them. You can even do that with lemons. And when my client is really activated or even after EMDR, really stressed, I'll bring them a frozen orange and they just hold it in the Ziploc bag. And it's very, very soothing for them. What will really take your cortisol levels down really fast, if you're at home, I know you probably can't do this at work, but you get a big mixing bowl, put ice and water in it, and you hold your breath, immersing your whole face in the water. It's a thing called diving reflex. You would have to read about it, but the combination of holding your breath and the freezing water can help bring the cortisol levels down. So
Wow,
that's my trick.
that's a great trick. Meaning I'd heard a lot about having sour candy and other things for your senses, but
Yeah.
for some reason, cold would make me think, oh, be more anxious, be more frozen and not be able to.
No, it does the very, like how people get stressed, they'll go in the bathroom and splash cold water on their face. I don't think that's cold enough. Actually, I think you really need cold water. But right under your eyes is the most sensitive part for any kind of ice or cold. So even if you get those little ice packs from Amazon, you can order them or whatever place. And they come in little lemon shapes or limes or whatever, and you put it right here. You can lay back on a bed. So this is very sensitive. Or you can do something similar, like immersing your face in the bowl of ice. What you do is you hold the eye patches under your eye, you put your head down just like that, not in a bowl of water, and hold your breath, maybe for 20 seconds. So it kind of has that same effect if you're not near a bowl of ice water.
We spoke a little bit earlier as it related to remote therapy about people who struggle to leave the house or just people struggling in general. So I kind of wanted to go back to before people even get to your doorstep. So for someone who may be struggling but hesitant to seek therapy, what guidance or encouragement would you offer to help them take that first step?
Well, I think, the most important thing with therapy is having good rapport with your therapist. You are not going to get anywhere if you don't have good rapport. I 100% believe that. 100%. I still am with my same therapist for years, and I feel like she's my best friend. Not in a weird way. But it's like having that kind of synergy, the connection, you feel safe or at least more peaceful. Some people may never feel safe, so I don't want to just throw that out loosely, but feeling like you're being heard, seen, that therapist is a secure base. I think that is really, really important. I also think you've got to figure out, like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a female or male? Are you looking for someone who comes from a certain faith that's going to be honoring that faith? Are you looking for someone who's really well trauma informed, I guess, who really has studied this, continues to educate themselves on all the newest things? What are you looking for? And to be able to find, someone that you feel you can trust to guide you in this process of healing. I think, to give you that kind of confidence. All I can say is take a shot. If you're really struggling, maybe ask friends, family, who do they go to? I mean, is there someone they like? Word of mouth is always good. Or, talk to a doctor or someone in your area that may have referrals. But you have to take the step. What else are you going to, what is your option? Do you want to stay in the state that, is not the quality life you're looking to live in? Do you want to stay stagnant? Or do you want to achieve your best life and leave a powerful legacy for all the people behind you? So I think, it's just take a deep breath, educate yourself about some people out there and the types of modalities that are available and find your person. And it just can take a call, get a free consultation, see what the person's like, their personality. See if you vibe. I mean, at least for me, I'm like very cool. I'm very easy to talk to. I'm very, I raised two daughters. One's Gen Z, one millennial. So I kind of know that scene. I have a lot in that demographic, but I'm also at an age where I do really well with my demographic too, because I have life experience. And a lot of the Gen X, or even baby boomers, really like that I have life experience. It's not like I just read about it, that like I've been through it. So I feel like actually I'm at the perfect age where I'm really good for the younger ones who I adore and really good for my kind of demographic. So, it's kind of perfect. But it's you just have to find someone you're comfortable with and you feel you can truly unpack, all the difficult topics and be yourself, because I sure am going to be myself.
Kate, I feel like we only barely scratched the surface, but I learned so much. And
Oh,
I know
good.
that whoever is watching really knows you now. And I think would be so excited to have the opportunity to book a session with you, or like you said, at least have a phone call.
At least have a
And
phone call. Why
yeah,
not? Or a virtual call, you
yeah,
know, to see
yeah.
what I'm like my mannerisms and everything,
Yeah.
that's important.
Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to hopefully having you on the podcast again.
I would love to be on the podcast again anytime on any subject. I love learning, and also I'm very big on internal family systems, and I'm going to go into more extensive training starting in January, which I'm very excited about.
Well, we're looking forward to all of that for you.
All
And
right.
thank you again.
Thank you.